Organic chemistry is widely known as one of the more difficult classes you'll have to take as a pre-health major. It is different from any science course you've had so far, so it's difficult to really hold on to any prior chemistry knowledge. Yes, it's good to understand a lot about the periodic table, how many bonds maybe a carbon can have, but at organic chemistry you have to work at it. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 8 tips that I use to get an A in Organic Chemistry 1 and what I'll be using in Organic Chemistry 2. If you're new here, my name is Sam. I am a junior in college and I make weekly videos regarding college courses, dental related content, and everything in between. Now, along with the tips that I'm about to share, I have links down below to other great creators on YouTube on this platform that have made great videos on this topic as well. My first tip on how to ace Organic Chemistry is to have a firm understanding about Lewis structures, hybridization, and bonding. This type of knowledge that you have accumulated in General Chemistry 1 and 2 will be a primary focus in organic chemistry. One of the more difficult tasks coming into organic chemistry is taking lone pairs, taking bonding, and putting that into the context of drawing organic molecules. The quicker you understand bonding and putting that into the context of organic chemistry, the easier this class will be. My second tip is to attend office hours and tutoring hours. Look, whether you like it or not, your professor is your best resource. He or she has years of knowledge under their belt on the topics you are covering, so definitely go to their office hours. These office hours are a great opportunity to have a better understanding of what is going on in this course. I do urge you guys to have questions prepared for your professors when you go to these office hours. I've seen firsthand that professors aren't very fond of students just going to their office hours and asking for help, but if you have questions prepared, they are more likely and they are more happy to help you. Also, depending on your university, they might have programs in place where it's one-on-one tutoring, group sessions throughout the week, so definitely take advantage of those resources as well. Online third-party tutoring services can cost up to $100 per week. Your university has these in place for you to succeed in these courses, these difficult courses, so definitely take advantage of them. My third tip is to use multiple sources for your studying and note-taking. The 3 most common sources that I used for my studying and note-taking was YouTube, my own textbook, and group learning. If your professor uses a certain textbook in your course, there is a good chance that there is another professor on YouTube that is using that material too. A personal example that I used was a professor on YouTube named Linda Hansen, and she used the same textbook that my professor did, so I really got a good chance to study more off of her. I often learned more from her lectures than I did my own. I got to rewind these YouTube videos and study off her and do practice problems while the video is playing, so definitely use YouTube for your studying. Another source for your studying could be your textbook. I wouldn't live and die by your textbook, but some of your professors might base their exam questions off the textbook, so it wouldn't hurt to use that textbook and to study and use practice problems in that textbook. Finally, another source for your studying could be a study group or just a set of friends. There's been plenty of times where I've studied hard for an exam and I go out and study with my friends, and I often missed a certain concept and they refresh me on it. So to maximize the information that you learn, create a healthy stream of sources for your studying. My fourth tip is to do a bunch of practice problems. Whether that's from YouTube, going to these office hours, maybe your professor gives you some practice problems, your textbook, whatever it is, 90% of organic chemistry is just practicing reactions, practicing the naming, the IUPAC. It's just practice. The more you practice in organic chemistry, the more successful you will be. And if you do enough practice on these topics, more likely than not, on your exams, you will see a similar expression of a practice problem you've done before. And you can relate this practice principle to a lot of different subjects in organic chemistry. There's resonant structures, there's reaction mechanisms, etc. And that might be the simplest, but the most important tip that I can give you guys is to just go out when you're taught something in lecture, to just practice that. Now this next tip, my 5th tip, is a little specific to certain subjects in organic chemistry, but is to make a condensed flowchart or graphic of the reactions you learn in these chapters. So depending on what textbook your professor abides by, mine was around chapter 7, where I learned a lot about reactions, elimination, substitution, there's alkenes, alkynes. For those reactions, if you make a 1-page in your notebook or on your iPad a one page of all the reactions that can happen throughout the chapter, it will help you for your exam. So this is an example of what I did. It might be a little hard to see of the alcohols chapter. So I just had all the alcohol reactions, and I just made a separate page in my iPad notebook in GoodNotes, and I just listed out all the different reactions in that chapter. And I did that with elimination, substitution. I did that with alkynes, alkenes, going on to ethers and epoxides. So it just makes it, for a lot of organic chemistry, it's a lot of memorization, and making these condensed charts and graphics, you can find them even online, are a great way to memorize them for your exams. My sixth tip is to study before your lecture. Now this can be done in passive learning. Maybe you have a YouTube video on in the background, but just find a way to study before your lecture. Whatever the lecture is about, find a YouTube video or a set of YouTube videos to make you informed about the topics, so you're not just brain dead in these lectures. A lot of these topics in organic chemistry are well-known topics that they have been reviewed, they have been discussed, so you will find a lot of great resources, especially for Organic Chemistry 1, to find on YouTube, to find on other platforms, to help you out so you can study before lectures so you have an idea of what's going on in your courses. My seventh tip is to study throughout the entire semester and do not wait until the week of your exams. So I use the analogy of losing weight. Let's say you want to lose weight by January 1st. You wouldn't wait until Christmas to start your weight loss journey. You would make a steady progression, maybe starting in October, November, make a steady progression to lose a certain amount of weight. It is the same thing in organic chemistry. You want to build on these topics. You want to study every day so you have a smooth progression into your first exam, into your other exams. If you make this subtle yet steady progression, even studying maybe 10 minutes per day, it will be easier to memorize and to understand these topics in the long run, because a lot of these topics you're going to need in organic chemistry 2. You're going to need if you want to go into a chemistry, internship or research department. So it's easier to memorize what's going on if you make this steady progression into your exams. My eighth and final tip is to not be afraid. I have linked down in the description below a great TED Talk video that you guys should definitely check out. It's by a former professor. Obviously, he taught organic chemistry, and it's just a great 15-minute video on how not to be afraid of organic chemistry. There is a lot of resources. There's a lot of people here to help you at your universities. So do not be afraid. And those are my 8 tips for you guys. Feel free to like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.